You're too slow and too stiff. I'd snap you in half.
Come on, man. Sit the down.
Welcome to the fight world, your home for up-to-date fighting information and combat analysis. Boy, do we have a big one on our way tomorrow. Conor McGregor versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone, UFC fight. Not a title fight, but Conor's entry back into the MMA scene. As most hardcores know, he hasn't won in 3 years. This will be his first fight back in. He's calling it the 2020 season, and he's facing Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Some people are calling it a tune-up fight, which I'm surprised about. Donald is getting to be an older fighter. He has been through a lot of wars, but I wouldn't exactly call him a tune-up. He's not a tune-up for anybody. Anybody can get caught in one of his submissions if he, decides to go to the ground. Many people have gotten caught up with head kicks. He has the most fights in the UFC. He's got all kinds of records. So the idea that he'd be a tune-up fight is a little bit ridiculous. He has lost, I think 3 out of his last 6 or something like that, Cowboy. So I don't know if that's where that's coming from. But if anybody's fighting Conor, they're going to bring their A-level game. So I do expect a real interesting fight. Look at this tweet here from Dave Mason. Already trying to find out who Conor will call out if he wins post-fight. We have Khabib at plus 110, Mayweather at plus 1400, Usman plus 1400, Pacquiao at plus 2000, and Nate Diaz at plus 2000. Out of those, I'm already going to eliminate Usman. Conor knows where the money is, and I don't think, even though Usman is the champion, I don't think he's going to go after Usman necessarily, because I think there's more money in these other fights. He can certainly make a lot more in a Mayweather rematch. He can make a lot more in a Khabib rematch. Even Pacquiao. Nate Diaz also, I think there's still some interest in a Nate Diaz rematch, although it is not as high as it was before. Conor McGregor, he's 31 years of age at this point, and even though he hasn't won a fight in 3 years, I still do think focused Conor McGregor is an extremely dangerous fighter. We've seen what he's done in the past. Let's not forget. So what's interesting is Jorge Masvidal and Usman, they will be front and center for the fight. And it's essentially just like a cornucopia, if you will, of welterweights. You have Masvidal there, Usman there, McGregor, who is going in at welterweight for this fight, and Cowboy. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Then you got Justin Gaethje roaming around saying that Conor's afraid to fight him. And then, of course, you got Khabib down at 155 as well. So we will see if Conor does win the fight. Who will he call out? Will he go for the BMF title with Masvidal, or will he go for the belt with Usman? Will he go for the money fight with Mayweather? It's going to be interesting. I think from hearing his interviews that Conor is more looking towards staying the MMA route, although he has said that he will do boxing in the future. But I don't think that's the near future. I think he's on a mission to get his respect back. He's lost a lot of respect with the things that went on with his antics outside of the ring, outside of the octagon. And even supposedly I hear that the Irish fans aren't supporting him the same way. So that'll be another interesting thing to see tomorrow. How many Irish fans will come out and support him? We're used to seeing basically the whole city, wherever he's fighting, all green, full of Irish people. So we'll see how many people actually make the trek to come support him this time. Now let's talk about Cowboy. I do not think that Cowboy is totally out of this fight. McGregor has gotten submitted twice. That if he would have one glaring weakness, it would be his submission defense, especially from the back. And Cowboy is extremely underrated as far as submissions, in my opinion. And I believe if Cowboy really wanted to take the fight down, he'd be a real threat to McGregor. McGregor is not a slouch on the ground per se, but when he's fighting a real high level guy on the ground, you can see the difference. Now, I've seen Cowboy in multiple interviews say that he is going to stand up. He doesn't care what anybody thinks. You know, it's his fight. He can do what he wants to do. So because of that stubbornness, and I do believe him when he says that. I do believe Cowboy does want to stand, and he will stand with McGregor. I think he'll stand all fight because I know Cowboy. I know how he fights. I know his mentality. However, I think that may be proven to be a mistake. Not that Cowboy can't catch McGregor with a head kick. He absolutely can. The odds of that are way lower, in my opinion, than him taking McGregor to the ground and doing some harm, maybe ending the fight on the ground. So because of his stubbornness, and Cowboy does want to intend to stand up the whole fight, I think advantage McGregor. My opinion, advantage McGregor on this one. I don't believe there's any way that, you know, the people, unless he has yes men, but, you know, a responsible coach would not tell Cowboy to keep this fight on the feet. Why would he do that? That's increasing your odds to lose against a guy like Conor. Remember, Conor, he only has to hit you once with that nuclear left hand. It's a left hand from the heavens. That thing touches you, you're going down, especially with MMA gloves. So Cowboy, in my opinion, he's rolling the dice with this, and you know, if I had to make a pick, I was going back and forth a little bit in the past week or so, but you know, judging by hearing the interviews and seeing what they've been saying, if I have to make a pick, I would say Conor McGregor will win the fight. And I don't think it's going to go to distance. I believe that Conor McGregor TKOs or KOs Cowboy in the late rounds. Maybe 4 or 5. And that's contrary to a lot of opinion because McGregor's a fast starter. He blazes in the beginning, first, you know, round or two. And then usually in his fights in the past, he does tend to get tired. So I don't think that he will, you know, get tired in this fight, and I don't think it will be an issue. If you remember that second Nate Diaz fight, he went all 5 rounds, and he did get tired right towards the end of the 5th round. But before that, he was in there for all 5 rounds, and he was dangerous for all 5 rounds. He knocked Diaz down, I believe, two or three times in that fight. And, you know, I believe Diaz is way more durable as far as his chin than Cowboy. So I believe that Cowboy won't take 2 or 3 knockdowns for McGregor to get him out of there. And McGregor's power carries over. Even though he tires, his power's still there. And I just think that unless something fantastic happens, I feel like, you know, Cowboy's too good of a striker, too good of a fighter to get taken out in the early rounds. That's why my prediction is later rounds, round 4 or 5, McGregor TKO or knockout. That is my prediction. Now they'll be fighting in Vegas. McGregor has many, many memories in Vegas of wins. And we'll see if the Mystic Mac prediction of a knockout will hold true. We shall see. Just taking a look at the stats here. Conor McGregor at 5'9". Stats have him here at 155, reach is 75. Of course, he's a lefty southpaw. And if we go to Donald's stats, he's 6'1". They have him listed at 155, reach 73. Interesting that he's, you know, a full 4 inches taller, but 1 inch less reach. Let's go scroll down here. In the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see, in the last 6 fights, Cowboy is, he's got 3 wins and he's got 2 losses, and he's lost his last 2 fights, both by KO. Tony Ferguson and Justin Gaethje. This is what I tell you about Cowboy. Not that he has a glass jaw, but he is not the most durable. He doesn't have the most durable jaw, and he can be KO'd. If you scroll. And he can KO you too as well. So, you know, he's a dangerous fighter, but he also, you know, he if you catch him with some power, you can get him out of there. Now, let's go into McGregor's last 6 fights. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so McGregor's got 3 wins and 2 losses as well in his last 6 fights. He lost to, of course, Nate Diaz in the first fight and Khabib in his last outing. Both losses, again, by submission. Khabib was by neck crank and Nate Diaz was by rear naked choke. Both submissions coming from the back, showing you his weakness. I don't think you can finish Conor easy if you're on top of him, mounting him. I don't think you can necessarily finish him that easy side control. I don't even think you can finish him that easy with a leg lock or a Kimura or anything like that. I think that Conor is very vulnerable from his back, and you know, you would hope that he tried to fix that in his you know, he's had a long time off, you know, and supposedly he's been training the whole time, so you'd hope he'd pay attention to that glaring weakness he has to seal that hole. Updated sports betting, we have Conor at a -325 favorite and Cowboy at a +275. So you need, you know, if you bet 325 on McGregor, you'd only win 100. If you put 100 on Cerrone, you'd make an extra 275. So that's basically how the odds are looking right now. And I just saw the weigh-ins earlier, and you know, they both look ready. Both fighters look ready to rumble, and I think it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a very interesting fight. I don't think it's going to be an easy fight for either participant, but again, I do think McGregor will come out on top, and I do think he will finish Cowboy. Now, where do both fighters go if they win? Where does Cowboy go if he actually pulls off the victory on McGregor? I think he, you know, he's right in there for a title fight. I believe that's what Dana said. They're going to be a #1 contender or maybe a title fight if they won after, you know, whoever's the winner of this fight. Maybe that's why Masvidal and Usman are there. They both have the belt. He has the real belt, and Masvidal has the BMF belt. So I know maybe they're trying to set something up with that. McGregor wins. You know, like I said, there was you know, talk about boxing with Pacquiao and Mayweather. There's talk about rematch with Nate. There's talk about a fight with Usman. And there's also the rematch with Khabib. I've heard McGregor in interviews say he does want to fight Khabib, and he wants to fight him in Russia, which is absolutely crazy. McGregor's a madman. He wants to go to Russia, Khabib's home territory, and he wants to take him out there. So I don't know. I haven't really heard McGregor talk about anybody else besides Khabib. And he's mentioned Mayweather, but again, he said that was in the future. So I would probably expect him to try to get that Khabib fight if he wins tomorrow against Donald Cerrone. So that's what the future holds. So comment down below what you guys think. What do you guys think of both fighters? What do you think of the fight? Who do you think will win? Do you agree with me? Disagree with me? Comment down below. I'll be active in the comment section. Please do not forget to subscribe. More videos on the way. This is Fight World. I'm out.